Hi, Jerry Nelson, Life Coach. Welcome to my constructive anger video. This is for lesson 3, and the lesson is on managing your anger through revising your expectations. Just as a quick review, remember our expectations is what creates our anger. We are responsible for our own expectations, and when you have a clear idea what your expectations are, then you can do one of two strategies. You can lower your expectation, or you can higher it. If you made your expectation higher, you'd be more angry than ever. Or if you lower it, that we're trying to manage anger towards being less angry is what I've been assuming. And if you lower your expectation, you either eliminate your anger or lower it down, depending upon how far you lower your expectation. And the other strategy that you can use is you can say, hey, that is my expectation, and I'm going to validate my anger, and I'm going to say it in good style rather than in a destructive style. So you have the option of validating your expectation and expressing it in good style, or not in good style, but you're saying that, yes, indeed, this is my expectation. Now, one of the things to be aware of is you can say, well, I'm going to just lower my expectations and I won't have any anger. That just can't possibly be true, because we all have expectations. And when I'm talking about lowering expectations, I'm talking about two types of expectations to lower. Number one are expectations that you've learned from the outside world. Your parents taught you, or society taught you, or some movie taught you. Someplace you picked up an expectation, and when you look at that expectation and you examine it closely, you realize, hey, that's not my expectation. For example, you might have an expectation when you come to a stop sign that the vehicles that are in the crossroad stop, and so if someone runs a red light, you have the expectation you're going to blow your horn. Well, if you examine that expectation and you start realizing, hey, not everybody is paying attention to their driving. Not everybody is going to meet my expectation. In fact, it's an expectation that really isn't valid. So when you examine expectations, and if you find that they're not valid and you eliminate them, then you've eliminated a whole area of anger generation that you no longer have to do. On the contrary, when you validate your expectation, then you learn to say that in good style. Now, all we're going to do in this particular lesson is we're going to talk about expectations that you lower or eliminate. So I more or less have outlined the fact that you first of all have to examine them to see if they really are an expectation that you have, and if they don't meet that criteria of you really believe in this is the way the world should be, then you won't get ego bruises, you won't have primary feelings or secondary feelings of anger. And so lowering your expectations is the result of this lesson in those areas where you really need to lower them. Now, sometimes you might continue to have the expectation, but you lower it for some outside pressure. For example, a court might have an expectation that you lower some expectation you have, and you might do that as a temporary thing to get out of the court process. But my wish for you is that you really come to a place of clearly understanding your expectations so you can actually be clearly angry or not. Now, the way to pass this particular lesson is to go back to recent anger episodes that you've had, times that you've gotten angry, and look at them and say, do a self-examination of whether or not they are expectations that you really believe, and then to find 3 times that you had expectations that you really no longer believe. And so that you successfully lower those expectations and totally realize in yourself that now you have no anger because that was really a false expectation. So that's how you pass this particular lesson. Uh, Now, in terms of learning more about how to lower expectations, I would suggest some books. Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Any of the books by Roger Dawson that are on negotiating, because all of a sudden you might be eliminating a whole area of expectation that you're going to fail with someone. And if you can learn to negotiate with them rather than fail with them consistently, then your expectation you're going to fail goes away. And also there's 12-step material. Doing a 4-step inventory is a great way to get clarity on what you are succeeding at and are not succeeding at, and where you can revise your expectations of yourself because you have now new awareness in other areas. And with that, I'll close. This is Jerry Nelson, life coach. This was video number 3 in Constructive Anger.